Ew. I'm taking you to jail.
Nah. But thanks for the help, hero. Doing good even if you didn't mean to.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
You know, one thing I realized after watching this episode that I never questioned before, does Mark really have battle IQ? That's a genuine question to ask. Because now that I think about it, it feels like he relies a lot on his abilities and his strength, and he never really had to try and outsmart an enemy to defeat them. And this episode is what really helped me truly realize that. Like, of course, it was confirmed towards the end that like Titan is probably like a very smart villain and he could outsmart most people.
Nice job. The way you played me and Liu, pure genius. Mwah!
But still though, it had me thinking to even back in season 1. And I was thinking, has Mark really outsmarted a villain or like used actual battle IQ to defeat a villain other than just like overpowering them? Maybe he has, I'm just like not able to think about it at the top of my head right now. But so far in the show, currently Mark to me doesn't seem like a type of character that has much battle IQ, even though he has like a good amount of experience at this point. What is it been like 1 year since he's been a hero? So I wouldn't say he has a lot, but he has like a decent amount so far. So maybe it's not his strong suit and like it's not something he's naturally gifted in. So it could be just because of his age. Like he's only 19, right? And I'm just so used to like seeing heroes when I see shows, especially like after a season or so, they usually express some battle IQ and able to outsmart enemies and stuff like that and use techniques other than their strength to defeat them. But I guess since I'm so used to that happening like pretty quickly or usually after one season or so, especially after like 1 year of experience of being a hero, I guess I'm just not used to this like slow grind of like his flaws. And maybe what they're doing is they're taking the slow route and where Mark is slowly developing as if he's actually a 19-year-old kid basically, right? Like if you were 19 with powers, it doesn't mean you automatically will have battle IQ. So like let's say this show goes on to when Mark is in his mid-20s or something, then that's probably when he's gonna showcase more battle IQ at that point in time. But unless they do a time skip, that's a long way from now. Right? Because I think in the comics, right, I haven't read anything in the comics, but I think it goes all the way until like Mark's old, right? So if that's the case, if it goes to his whole life, then I'm assuming that's why certain areas is like taking their sweet time to develop, because if they're going through his whole life, then they don't really need to rush his progress. But one thing I was a little bit disappointed about in Mark, especially when he was facing the dragon, all I could think about was the first episode of the season when they were stating how he like had so much improvements in strength and speed and endurance. And ever since that episode, it seems like you can't really tell that he made much progress, you know? And I'm talking about with his abilities. Like I do sense that he got a little bit more mature this season, but in terms of his abilities, his strength and everything, it really doesn't feel much different from season 1 or season 2, honestly, other than when he's like angry at Cecil, then that's when you could really see he got stronger and faster. But you let me know your thoughts on Mark's progression. Is it like a slow grind? Are you satisfied on how he's progressing as a character, especially as a hero? Like in terms of his personal life and him dealing with being a brother, helping his mom, being in a relationship, I don't mind his progress there, because I have to keep in mind he's 19. Like, and I feel like they're trying to have like a realistic version of what a 19-year-old would handle certain situations like this, especially him wanting to like move out. And let's be honest, it's really just to have more sex. Like let's be real, let's be honest, and that's accurate. Like when you're 19 and you have a girlfriend, right? Like that's something you would be thinking about. Like that'd be the main reason you want to move out. So I don't mind those parts in that and how his personal life develops. But in terms of his heroics, he still have a long way to go in my eyes, like for real. But speaking of development, let's talk about Oliver. One thing I'm starting to realize of Oliver is he has something, and I think Mark senses it too. Like he has that edge factor in him that Mark doesn't have. I don't know how to explain it, but I think Mark feels it too, especially when he saw Oliver confronting the bullies and everything.
It's past your bedtime.
Nuh-uh. We were here first. We're not leaving. You leave.
I said, get lost!
Oliver can take care of himself.
It's not him I'm worried about.
Ah!
What the fuck?
He's a good kid, Mark.
I think the best way I could explain it is like Oliver seems like a character with more belief in himself, or he truly feels like he could do anything, like especially seeing how he trying to do skateboarding, and regardless of how many times he fails, he's like, yeah, I could do this, I could still do this. Like he never doubts himself.
You gotta do it without using your powers. Okay. No flying. Promise. Ready? That was hard. But I almost did it. I'm gonna do it again.
And I think I said this in my predictions, like my expectations for this season. I had a feeling that Oliver would be like somewhat of the opposite of Mark, because Mark is the type of character that always doubts himself, you know, needs to speak to somebody about his problems to work things out. But Oliver is like, no, I could do this. Like, you could throw anything at me, I could do this no matter what. I don't really care what the obstacle is. And that's how I feel about Oliver. His self-esteem and his self-belief is insane. And especially with him growing up so fast, you could easily tell that he has a higher potential when it comes to him becoming a hero in the future. Just from his beliefs alone, I could see that being the case. And that's all due to his risk tolerance. And I don't think it's gonna go away when he's like mature enough to be considered an adult. And that's what really makes Oliver so interesting. He's kind of like what we want Mark to act like at times, or view himself at times, especially during fights. Because of course we know that Mark's biggest problems is always like holding back and not knowing how much power he should use against an opponent, which of course always causes him to take more hits and take more injuries than he really should have. And honestly, if we're being real, cause others to suffer more as well than they should have if he kind of calculated better on his capabilities and stopped worrying about holding back all the time, right? So honestly, with these two brothers, it could go both ways. Like they both could learn a lot from each other, because of course Oliver does need to hold back at times, and he does need to learn how to control himself with his abilities and how to make sure everything around him is safe without being reckless, while Mark has to realize himself that he needs to take a little bit more risk when it comes to battles and worry less about overthinking on whether or not each course of action, each decision he's making is the right thing to do, and just going with the flow basically, and going with what he believes at the moment is the right thing and go with it, follow through. But okay, but now with the rest of the episode, this honestly was an episode that was really focused a lot on understanding other characters. Like we understand about the brother and sister duplicates. I think the brother name is Paul, and he was able to escape. We got a little bit about their past. We still don't really know much about the guy. Probably gonna learn more and more as the season progresses. Of course, we learn a lot about Titan, and he really does everything for his family. Regardless if he's a villain, he is a family man at the end of the day. We learn that Rex can actually try to be a romantic in his life. You know, it's a lot of character development I seen in this episode. And I should say one thing Invincible does a great thing is like showcasing an human experience with these characters, like showcasing normal living, normal lives with these heroes and how human they are despite them having abilities and powers and all that. I guess kind of make them somewhat relatable in a sense while they're having superhero lives, as they're navigating their own lives, relationships, their own problems and issues, responsibilities, everything. And I think Invincible does a great job in doing that and showcasing that with all their characters, honestly. But lastly, is Mark racist or something? Because I remember this scene when Titan put on the hood and disappeared with all the other guys at the hoods, and then Mark touched one of the guys and he was like, so we all look the same to you, hero? Like, damn.
You're not getting away.
We all look the same to you, hero?
That hit Mark's soul right there. Like, that was a shot. Whoever put that scene there, whoever added that, like, made a statement. They wanted someone to know that. But yeah, you let me know your thoughts on this episode. What do you think is going to be happening next in Invincible? Let's have a discussion in the comment section down below. Like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.